We are starting now. This is Abdul Sattar with the Rising Stars, and we have a wonderful guest today, Ali Mardan Rahoojo Saab, who is an ex-diplomat and a corporate executive as well. He has been active on social media with thousands of following and speaking on not only foreign affairs but other issues of Pakistan. He's originally from southern province of Sindh, and he's active in social life, contributing in Urdu, English, and Sindhi, which is also the language of my province. So I'm glad to welcome Mr. Ali Mardan Saab. Thank you for joining us, sir. You see that Turkey is an emerging power in the Middle East. Of course, in the past, it used to be Ottoman Empire, being one of the biggest powers in the earlier 20th century, and in 19th century there was a time when it was knocking at the door of Vienna, and its tentacles could be seen, from Central Asia all the way to parts of Europe. And its Janissary force, according to Rai Casa Granda, was so impressive that William the Kaiser and Prussian state officials, they wanted the Ottoman to train them. So today we are talking about Turkey's, Middle East has already plunged into a war. What seem to be the strategic considerations of Turkey in your view, at the moment?
Yeah, thank you for introducing me. And this is a wonderful topic. Actually, you made a mention of Ottoman history of Ottomans, way back. But I can say that the modern Turkey started after this nationalism revolution in Turkey, after Atatürk, when Turkey became Republic of Turkey. So initially, Turkey was looking towards West. It has modernized itself. Atatürk's philosophy was to secular, democratic, as well as, westernized. So, but now this dynamics of foreign policy can change. Now Turkey is looking towards East after Erdogan has actually established his power in Turkey, in modern Turkey. So, because the Eastern country, the Muslim country, Western country becomes top priority of Turkey, that's why Turkey has actually redefined its role in modern era. So as you have mentioned that now it's playing a vital role in Middle East crises, including Iran, which is also a neighbor of Turkey as well as Pakistan. It has some strategic alliances with Qatar as well, and would like to become part of Quad to formalize the operation of Quad with 2-3 other countries of the region. So Turkey definitely is a emerging power and will play a significant role in defining, foreign policy, diplomatic relations of region in future.
In your view, what are the Turkey's diplomatic moves to restore peace in the Middle East or to stabilize the region? Because Turkey is likely, there are apprehensions that if Iranian regime collapses, then of course you had Kurd in Iran as well. In the past, they fought as a Mujahideen-e-Khalq, creating problem for the entire region because Kurds are scattered in 4 countries. So if there is any, and then Israel wants to create a Kurdish state in the Middle East as a client state. So what are diplomatic moves of Turkey to secure peace or stabilize the Middle East?
Yeah, this collapse of Iran and as a state as well as government doesn't go in favor of Turkey. Turkey would try its best to have a kind of stability in the region. Turkey, as rightly mentioned, has faced, this Kurdish terrorism war freedom movement in Turkey itself. They're fighting for that host 50 years now. And one of the PKK leader, the Kurdish party leader, Mr. Öcalan, is already in prison, and Turkey is facing a lot of criticism from West and many countries like Sweden that release Mr. Öcalan because this is against human rights and something like that. But Turkey is resisting. Secondly, as you have seen that there's a significant population, the Kurdish population in Iraq as well, which has become a semi-autonomous region. And also, as you rightly mentioned, there's a significant population of Kurd population also in Iran. and which at one point was mobilized by even USA to create internal problem in Iran. So Turkey, it is not in the interest of Turkey to have these kind of terrorists out gaining ground, even within Iran or anywhere else. But it is also fact, you can see that if Iran regime collapses or its state apparatus collapses, these outfits, you can say nationalist group or terrorist organization, they will become strong. If they become strong in one region, they will also create problem not only for Turkey but also other regional countries. Already this Kurdish population is restive. They are already, have a long history of struggle against their countries, these countries they're living. But it also has a history, if you have time, we can discuss the history of Kurdish problem in the region as well. But as you asked that now what Turkey would do in these circumstances, Turkey would try to stabilize Iranian regime, Iranian state. Its meltdown of the state will directly affect Turkey as well as neighboring countries, including Pakistan.
Okay. And Turkey's Mediterranean meditation role, how do you see Turkey's meditation role? Because it seems to be making efforts along with Pakistan to stabilize. And why do you think Turkey is interested in mediation efforts?
Presently, as I previously said, that Turkey as well as Pakistan, because we comes in an huge neighborhood of Iran, we both want proper stability and war to end in our region. If something happens, it will affect the entire region. So Turkey and Pakistan trying to mediate, and also bring the warring parties to a settlement. But Turkey has one more advantage. It is close to Europe, some part of NATO, and it is in direct contact with Washington and also many other European countries. So it has also leveraged. It also enjoys good relationship with Qatar as well. Pakistan has already played its role, and it has actually got appreciation from the world. It has successfully mediated on this issue, brought these parties to a negotiating table for first time in 45 years. So Pakistan is on forefront, but Pakistan is always in consultation with other regional power, which includes Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, which commonly known as Quad countries, Muslim countries, although this organization has not been formalized, announced, established, but they say that because of these countries' efforts on behind the scene as well as in front, that these countries have actually come to a negotiating table and discuss. And now, as you're seeing it, that there are so many messages are being transferred through Pakistan between Iran and USA, and everybody is hoping that there would be a kind of settlement, if not sooner but later.
What is the significance of this quad, and why Turkey?
Well, yeah, because these are the countries Muslim in the Muslim world which are economically strong, and because their geography as well, as you see that Turkey is sitting in between Europe as well as in Asia, and also connected to Middle East. One is their strategic location, second their economic industrial power, and also the level of development, democracy, and the leadership. So all these factors combined, if you ask Turkey as well as Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, Egypt, they are the only countries in Muslim world whose voice is heard, not only internally but also externally. And the countries who are at this moment they are fighting with each other would listen to them. That's why their position is significant. And that's why we are seeing some progress on diplomatic front that Pakistan is making progress, but Pakistan is always in consultation, in touch with Turkey and other regional countries of the world.
In your view, what practical action Turkey has taken diplomatically to ease tension in the Middle East?
Practically, Turkey is providing whatever through behind the scene contacts. They are in contact with Washington. They are already alternate contact with Russia, China, Qatar and other Middle East countries as well as Pakistan. So because of their, this position, the peace process is moving forward, moving swiftly, although Pakistan is on forefront, but Pakistan has also supported these countries. These are the practical efforts. But at the same time, there's only one country in the world which is giving, issuing direct threats to Israel, and especially on Gaza, that, they say that if you're going to violate basic human rights and you will not stop genocide, Turkey would do something. So this is their one thing. Secondly, it's requesting the countries not to escalate the war or conflict, but come to the negotiation table. Because in any case, the war is not solution. The solution is actually negotiation, war-based discussion, and agreement.
What is the current status of Quad? Do you think it is effective?
Quad is presently is not formalized as you know. Just a name is given, means they have a coordination. But this is the kind of emerging scenario now because of this Middle East conflict. The countries are getting close because of 3-4 reasons. First, there are security issues, strategic issues, and also this communication issues, navigation, shipping, energy security. So all these countries are coming in. So one thing is now being discussed everywhere, that Pakistan, which has already signed agreement with the defense pact with Saudi Arabia, and similar agreement is also existing with between Qatar and Turkey. If they all four combine and create a kind of joint defense mechanism, it will provide kind of alternative, maybe to NATO, maybe to U.S. presence in the Middle East. So this is going to be formalized. First, it will be kind of defense strategic pact, and it will also have some other aspect like cultural exchanges, like economic cooperation and other consultative mechanism. So what I see that it is going to be formalized soon. It's already is happening, although its site has not been announced yet.
Yes, I was about to ask about this defense military pact. Do you think some people view it as an attempt to unite Sunni countries, Sunni Muslim countries? Do you think on the part of Turkey?
Well, Turkey, as we are talking of Turkey is trying to assume the role of kind of leader of Sunni Muslim world. But Saudi has also similar claim that it is, undisputed leader of Sunni bloc. This is one thing. But if it becomes exclusively Sunni bloc, it will alienate many other Muslim countries, including Iran, and also the size of Shia population in Bahrain, as well as in Lebanon and also other places, Iraq also. So I think they will not give a, kind of clear indication that it will be a Sunni bloc, but rather it will give an impression that it will be a Muslim bloc and kind of Muslim security arrangement among countries, but not a Sunni bloc or something which is going to be used against Iran or going to alienate other regional countries. So I don't think that they're going to give this kind of impression.
So it primarily, do you think it is primarily meant to replace the US that has been protecting Gulf countries and the region and ensure that regional players are active in providing protection to Middle Eastern countries or the regional countries?
I think so, because with this conflict which is going on, this has become evidently clear that the presence of USA in Middle East is not solution or should not guarantee security and peace in the region, rather create other problems. So they are trying to establish kind of localized regional security arrangement and they are going to replace that long-standing agreement with USA. Since many leaders, even people are thinking that presence of USA in the Middle East is a problem, and the solution lies in these kind of arrangements which we are discussing right now. That if Muslim countries unite their strong points. Say, for example, Pakistan is militarily strong, Saudi Arabia is economically strong. So is the case of Qatar and Turkey. Definitely, it's a drone technology, the cell technology, and also it's economic industrial development. When they all combine their strong points, they can create a kind of formidable bloc, a formidable arrangement, regional arrangement, which can ensure regional security as well. So I agree with you that it is going to replace the arrangement which is right now they have in the region, and this is going to be something new in an emerging global world.
Don't you think that Turkey is facing a dilemma? On the one hand, it does not want Iran to be a nuclear power because Turkey, Israel, and Iran are three big military power in the region. Turkey has, diverging interests in Syria as well, where Iran was propping up Bashar al-Assad and Turkey was supporting Free Syrian Army and other people. But at the same time, it also does not want Israel to emerge as the strongest power because it also has problem with Israel. So don't you think that Turkey is facing a big dilemma? On the one hand, it does not want Iran. Yeah.
Turkey traditionally did not enjoy kind of friendly, good neighborly, cordial relations. Turkey has always been skeptical of regime, say that it is democratic, it is extremist country or government or regime, and they may export their extremism or their extreme form of religion to Turkey and other neighboring countries. So it's to be historically this is their thing. And secondly, if Iran emerges as a nuclear power, then all these countries which are lying in the region, they will be threatened. Even right now, when Iran has a kind of superiority in drone and missile technology, it has launched so many attacks on regional countries. So, say for example, it is a nuclear country, so it will threaten all the neighboring countries. So, I agree with you that Turkey would not be comfortable seeing Iran as a nuclear country. It is not in the interest of Turkey. Pakistan has already been established as a nuclear power and it has been recognized. Although Pakistan is not part of, the NPT, as that he did not sign and ratify it. Iran, on the other hand, has already signed, but it did not ratify it. So I can see that regarding Iran's nuclear whatever nuclear pursuits, Turkey will not be comfortable, and so will not be the Asian countries. And I'm not sure that Pakistan would also be comfortable to see Iran as a nuclear country. This is my understanding.
Pakistan also does not want Iran to be a nuclear country as well, right?
This is my assumption.
Yeah. Do you think that given the fact that Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey joined, now leave Pakistan aside, does it mean that Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar also view Iran as a security threat to the region?
Yeah, I agree because it has historically it is so. Arab and Ajam is as old a dispute as history. Starting from conquest of of this Sassanid Empire way back. It continues this problem, and as you see, there are certain areas in these countries what used to say that kind of axis of resistance or crescent of Shia crescent, they always created problem for those countries. Now look at as you mentioned, Syria. Syria is a Sunni majority country, but it used to have Mr. Bashar al-Assad's government before his father. They were always kind of Shia sect. So these problems exist. Even look at the activities of Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas to some extent, although they were not outrightly Shia, but there was some problem. Now also Houthis who were fighting in Yemen. So all these elements are directly or indirectly linked with Iran. So they can only continue their struggle of resistance with the support of Iran. So in that way, Iran has already posed kind of security threat to those countries. It's a fact, we cannot deny it. And secondly, during this ongoing Middle East crisis, the Iran tested or fired so many missiles. And this, drones to these countries, this also clearly shows that Iran is not having good, cordial, friendly relations with the neighbors. But main thing is that now everyone has learned a lesson. It's a time to, to kind of resolve those outstanding issues and 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 establish a peaceful coexistence relationship with the neighbors. And you see that recent, because Iran and Saudi has remained always rival countries, rival because of ideology and other things. But very lately, with the Chinese mediation and intervention, they have resolved the issues. Now, there are no more adversaries like other countries. So, it means these issues can be resolved if we if they countries become serious enough and they could listen to each other.
So does it mean that Turkey does not want Israel to be powerful enough to carry out the balkanization of Middle East, especially attempt to create a Kurdish state in the Middle East, and at the same time, it does not want Iran to dominate and threaten other countries or to dominate the region?
Well, it's a fact. You know what you are seeing in Syria right now. Syria, now, Bishara could not have been in top seat without support of Turkey. Turkey outrightly supported, and also Western countries, including USA. And Turkey has launched so many, operations within Iraq as well as in Syria in hard pursuits against with these terrorist elements about what separatist movements. So Turkey has a dilemma, no? It doesn't want to see Iran as a nuclear country, and also doesn't want, as you say, that the role of Israel to balkanize the region. Because Israel, by the way, is motivated by their ideology. They want to see Israel, they want to fulfill the dream of Greater Israel. They are Zionists, and they will continue their struggle. And I don't think that Turkey would support and become part of their Zionist designs in the region.
Thank you very much, Ali Mardan Saab. I much appreciate your time.